So we like to keep this one going. It allows us to really think about PMO specific stuff and, on a month by month basis. But John, you're first up. Citations.
Well, this doesn't sound very sexy or exciting, does it? Citations. Can I just share screen really quickly? Is that all right, Lindsay?
Yeah, sure.
So keep the stepper thing in mind, right? Because I was playing around with AI and seeing how well AI can write articles for me. And this is just an extract of what AI did for me around writing an article about the stepper model. And had it written a really good one for me, it would have been out by now. As it is, I need to do it manually, which is why it's on Monday. Anyway, a few key things here. This is what it came up with. It was developed by Tony Stofolsis. And the goals are setting goals. You can see the stepper there, setting goals, thinking, evaluating, planning, pursuing, assessing. And that all sounds like it makes sense, right? Except it's absolute nonsense, because those of you who remember my last slide, those are not the steps of the model at all. It's subject, target identification, emotion, perception, plan, and adapt. And this guy, Tony, he is a coach. To be fair, I'm sure he's a very, very good one. I found him on LinkedIn, but he's not the guy that came up with this model. It's Angus MacLeod. So what the AI has tried to do here is apparently make up its own coaching model using that acronym, and then has picked an entirely random coach and put their name to it. It looks credible, but has no substance. I suspect we're going to see a lot of this happening as we see more and more people using AI tools to pull stuff together without an understanding of what they're doing and without that ability to sense check. So even though it's boring, and even though we all hated doing it at university, my advice is whenever you're seeing these kind of articles about using something or somebody arguing that you should follow a certain direction, a certain approach, start asking for those citations, because those people that have taken time to research it properly and understand it will have no problem telling you the books they read, the people they spoke to, the stuff that influenced them. Whereas people that are plugging some stuff into Chat GPT and churning out content for the sake of it will have no idea, because those tools don't give you that context, because there isn't a citation, because as we've seen with this one, a lot of this was all just made up entirely. So that's my hot things with citations I'm a big fan of, and people can tell you where they got their ideas from.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay, so Eileen, what's your hot right now?
Well, with great excitement this week, we introduced the launch of International PMO Day. So this is something that the House of PMO has done in collaboration with a number of other PMO communities. So people that you'll know in terms of Americo Pinto, Laura Bernard, Leo, and Joe Puz. We've talked about it for a while, just recognizing that we're all doing kind of great things, and we wanted to give people who work in PMOs the opportunity to truly celebrate. And I actually went and had a look at what the definition of celebrate meant, which is to do something, to acknowledge something by doing something we enjoy. So this is going to be something that kind of comes up at the second Tuesday, Lindsay, every year. But the first one this year is the 9th of May. So there is a website, www.internationalpmoday.com, which gives you some ideas about how you can celebrate. You'll obviously hear a bit more about it nearer the time, but it was officially launched this week, and we're all dead excited to actually kind of celebrate around the whole globe. Lots of different PMOs, different shapes and sizes, different kind of perspectives, doing different things with different people on different projects, different companies, different industries. So I have got nothing else planned for my day. So if anybody wants to book me on the 9th of May, it's not happening. Oh. So that's what we're doing for the day. And if you want us to visit, let me know. I'm determined to go out and visit some PMOs on the day.
Well, there you go, roving reporter. Thank you very much, Eileen. Mine's just, I feel a bit, this month, I just think it's just been really difficult to try and pick stuff, because every time I thought about something, somebody else has nicked it, i.e. the celebration of the PMO day will first start. But the updates, things that are hot right now, doesn't necessarily mean it's good, but it's definitely hot. You've got the new version of Chat GPT coming. I am actually really excited about it, even though you've just shown us Chat GPT being a bit naughty. I really like the idea that it's going to be able to work with images as well, but it's going to be able to create PowerPoints, but you can give it some Excel data and it'll give you some insights. Whether it's any good or not, I don't know, but I can't wait to have a look at it and have a play with it. You know, I'm really, really curious about that. And the other update that was big literally this week is SAFe as well, is the scaled agile framework, that it's gone to a new version, which means that there's been a scrabble of stuff coming out about that. We were interested, I know John knows a little bit more about this than I do, but we were interested in what's happening around that concept of a PMO. They call it an agile PMO, because in the past, or in the previous version, there'd not been a lot of guidance or insight as to what that really looks like, and what, you know, not enough for people to be able to grasp and actually try and run with. So we're really interested to see what the updates will be around SAFe version 6, is that right?
It's SAFe version 6. So yeah, what they did have was an agile PMO, an APMO. On the insider sort of discussion forums, there was a lot of discomfort about having a PMO in their agile space, and they didn't really quite like it. So they slapped an A on the beginning in earlier versions. What they've done this time is called it a VMO, a Value Management Office. There's it's still really, really light. There's only a couple of paragraphs on the website about what this value management office does. But what I do see in that couple of paragraphs, I like. They've used a cautionary tale of organizations going very agile, deciding they don't need a PMO because we're agile now, ditching it, only to find they've got a massive gap and recreating something again. So I like the fact they've got that story in there as a cautionary tale. And it's something we saw a lot in the early days of people going agile, dare we say, as a big bang. So they've got that in there. I do hope there's going to be more content in there in the future, because what 6 doesn't have, it's got role descriptions for a load of different roles and a load of different teams. There's still no mention formally of the VMO roles and responsibilities or anything there. It's kind of a throwaway bit in on one page, but hopefully maybe 6.1, maybe that'll be the place that we'll see it more, I think.
Well, you know, I've got it hot right now because it is happening. And, you know, I just think whether it's good or bad, the fact that things are getting updated gives us more things to explore, you know, and whether these things are getting better or not. I mean, the whole like AI stuff is just so interesting at the moment, and having some really good playing about with the imagery, for example. What you're seeing right now is 2 of those images have been created using Midjourney, which is the tool that you know, you can create imagery from words and sentences and things like that. So that black and red there is about the this is actually the project office dealing with updates, and it's all a bit of a whirl and like that going on.
It'll be we're having
like
it's worth mentioning, isn't it? We've actually going to have a session on it at PMO Learn this year. We've got on the day before the conference where we have our learning event. One of the sessions is actually going to be kind of practical use of AI. So that'll be fascinating.
Yeah, and just to finish that off, the next session coming up from the House of PMO next Wednesday evening is about a PMO, which is from somebody that has been using the scaled agile framework SAFe, and has been developing that role, a PMO, over the last couple of years, and has got some brilliant insights from National Grid. So if you are interested, go and check that one out. So let's crack on. Let's have a look at what is not right now, and this one.
Oh my, this has been a hot,
who's been on LinkedIn,
a hot topic this week. So let me try and explain this one. It's one of those things that I think meant well and was unfortunately misguided. So this is a PMI publication that has come out, and they pushed quite hard. PwC pulled it together for them, and what they've come up with, this idea of XMOs. Now, what they're actually saying is that there's a couple of things. First, they're saying actually a PMO, as we thought of it in the old days, an admin function that supports a project manager by doing minutes and all those kind of things. Really, we've moved on from that. There's now lots of different types of things out there. There's value focus, there's portfolios, there's all these different types of offices out there. And actually, we need to be moving away from that very, very old model to these different ways of thinking. And we also need to be embracing technology. We need more specialist PMOs in some places where they're more data driven, more AI focused, more tools focused, and more finance focused in different areas. So what you've got is an array of different offices that are more specialist. So rather than putting one particular letter at the beginning, let's use an X to donate first, to indicate that we've got, it could be any number of things, much like we do for the CXO level in organizations. All of that sounds good, except for a few things. Firstly, that kind of project management office that they're kind of referring back to is one that I've not really seen for many years. A lot of the PMOs, and I'm sure a lot of you here will resonate, we are those forward-thinking teams that are very much focused on flow through the business, focusing on value, focusing on helping everyone do the right things, coaching and mentoring teams, and accelerating delivery. So actually, a lot of what they were setting up to say, actually, we shouldn't be doing this anymore, we should be doing more of this, has caused a lot of upset in the PMO community, because saying, what are you on about? That's what we already do now. I'm not sure when you guys last saw a PMO, but that must have been a long time ago. It was made, unfortunately, worse by the CEO of PMI, who, by his own admission, and he edited it later, said, sorry, I was rushing through an airport, I didn't fully think it through. But he messaged on LinkedIn where he basically appeared to say, it wasn't exactly what he said, but it certainly seemed that way, that we should be evolving the PMO and using more technology. And actually, look at what we're doing now. We're using a little tool that automatically transcribes our meetings rather than needing a PMO person to write minutes, which of course inflames and upsets PMO people, because as we know, we do not like being seen as the minute taker, because the PMO is so much more than writing people's minutes for them. He did hastily go back and correct that. I think damage was done by that, and damage has been done by trying to compare a PMO with what it might have been, got even 10, 15 years ago. I had a bit of a chat with sort of Lindsay and others over the last couple of days. We actually went back to the PMO conference in 2016, which was the earliest one I could find. And so much of the content, even then, 7 years ago, was about value, was about agility, was about continuous improvement, all the use of technology, all the sorts of things they're saying that maybe we should be thinking about for the future were things that we were advocating and talking about. And most of the people who are listening to us now on YouTube and LinkedIn and on our circle are already doing. So great in theory, but really missed by a mile on the delivery of this and the perception of how PMOs work today.
Ooh, right, there you go. There's a link for the report in the chat right there. So Eileen, resource management.
Can I just say as well, it can't go to XMO because my tattoo says PMO. So I'm sticking with PMO. That's my argument for sticking with PMO. Right, yes, resource management. I've had lots of conversations with people over the last few weeks, and we often talked about benefits management being on the top of the too hard pile, and resource management is becoming more and more of an issue. Organizations are really struggling. I think a lot of it is around resource scarcity now. Lots of organizations don't have any kind of flex, they haven't got any kind of headroom in terms of how their resources are going to be used. But I also think now we've got a whole range of different delivery methods, and we've got people delivering delivering projects all across the organization. It's becoming very difficult for the organization to identify what resources we've got, which ones are available to work on projects. How do we actually kind of, how much do we know that the time they're working on projects, and how can we kind of forecast their kind of usage and their skills training and all of the rest of it. And there's some interesting talk as well around kind of the agile, because on agile, people know you're meant to be kind of fully focused and committed to the project, but we see more and more kind of people who work part-time on an agile project, and I always kind of think that's really kind of a bit strange in terms of kind of where their focus is. And I think there's lots of tools out there that will help with resource management, but I think that base data is what continues to be a struggle for organizations. So I don't necessarily see the end in sight. I know House and PMO, we did a PMO managers lunch a few years ago now on resource management, and came up with some kind of high level views and approaches. But I think it'll be interesting in terms of kind of where the theory is around resource management, whether it has to be absolutely tailored to organization. There is no best practice out there for resource management, so interesting in terms of kind of whether there'll be any kind of shift, or whether it'll just be things that we kind of tactically work on our projects and programs across the organizations.
Okay, great. And finally from me, yeah, cop out. I know I could honestly, I couldn't think of anything else. However, you know, just seeing that you know, these updates can not only be great for people, but it is this, you know, certainly stuff with Safe now is you know, there's people scrabbling then to be recertified, which you know, just brings it all back to, you know, the money grabbing schemes, or you know, whatever that might be. But yeah, it's just it from the updates kind of things. But you know, let's move on